Chapter 1: AI Psychology Secrets That Change Everything. Sarah stared at her computer screen at 11:47 p.m., her eyes burning from exhaustion. Her inbox showed 847 unread emails. Her to-do list had grown longer despite working 12 hours straight. She felt like she was drowning while everyone else seemed to have everything figured out. But then something shifted. Sarah stumbled upon a psychological principle that changed everything. Within 30 days, she was working just 6 hours and achieving more than she ever had in those brutal 12-hour days. What Sarah discovered wasn't about finding better apps or working harder. She uncovered the hidden psychology of how human minds work alongside artificial intelligence. And once you understand this psychology, your productivity doesn't just improve, it transforms completely. Most people approach AI productivity all wrong. They download the latest tools, buy expensive software, and wonder why nothing changes. They think it's about the technology, but here's what they miss. The real breakthrough happens when you understand how your brain processes information differently than AI does. When you know these differences, you can design systems where both work together in ways that seem almost magical. Think about it this way: your brain has evolved over millions of years to do certain things incredibly well. Pattern recognition, emotional intelligence, creative connections, intuitive leaps. AI has different superpowers. Processing massive amounts of data, running calculations, monitoring multiple streams of information simultaneously. When these capabilities combine properly, something remarkable happens. You get results that neither could achieve alone. Here's the first psychological secret. Your brain naturally looks for patterns and makes quick decisions based on experience. This is called cognitive pattern matching, and you do it thousands of times every day without realizing it. AI excels at finding patterns in data that would take humans weeks to spot. But here's where it gets interesting. When you set up systems where AI finds the patterns and presents them in ways your brain can quickly understand, your decision-making speed increases dramatically. Michael experienced this firsthand. As a marketing manager, he spent his entire morning analyzing campaign data. For hours of scrolling through spreadsheets, comparing numbers, trying to spot trends. His brain was working hard, but it was like trying to drink water from a fire hose. When Michael learned to pre-process his data through AI tools, everything changed. The AI would identify key patterns and present them in formats his brain could absorb instantly. His 4-hour analysis became a 20-minute review with better insights. The psychology behind this transformation is fascinating. Your brain has limited processing power, like a computer with limited RAM. When you overload it with data analysis, you have less capacity left for creative thinking and strategic decisions. AI can handle the heavy data lifting, freeing up your mental resources for what humans do best. This isn't about being lazy. This is about being strategic with your most valuable resource, your mental energy. Now, let's talk about attention. You've probably heard people claim they can multitask effectively. But neuroscience shows us something different. Your brain naturally focuses on one thing at a time. When you try to multitask, you're actually switching rapidly between tasks, and each switch costs mental energy. AI, on the other hand, can monitor multiple data streams without losing focus or getting tired. Jennifer learned this lesson while managing 3 major projects simultaneously. She was constantly switching between checking emails, monitoring deadlines, tracking progress, and putting out fires. Her attention was scattered, and her productivity suffered. Then she implemented what she calls her AI monitoring system. The AI tracked project updates, flagged urgent items, and prepared daily summaries. This allowed Jennifer to work in deep, focused blocks while staying informed about everything important. The psychological principle here is called selective attention enhancement. When your brain knows that important information will be filtered and presented at the right time, it can relax into deeper focus states. This creates a positive cycle where better focus leads to better results, which makes you trust the system more, which allows even deeper focus. But there's another psychological factor most people never consider: decision fatigue. Every choice you make throughout the day uses up a bit of your mental energy. Research shows that people make progressively worse decisions as the day goes on because their decision-making capacity gets depleted. This is why you might eat healthy all day but grab junk food at night. Your willpower is exhausted. David was making hundreds of small decisions every day as a project manager. Which emails to answer first, how to prioritize tasks, when to schedule meetings, what resources to allocate. By afternoon, he was mentally drained and often made poor choices that he would regret the next morning. David started using AI systems to handle routine decisions based on criteria he set up once. This preserved his decision-making energy for the strategic choices that actually required human judgment. Understanding that willpower and decision-making are finite resources changes how you approach productivity. When you protect these resources by automating routine choices, you have more capacity for the decisions that truly matter. This leads to better outcomes and less mental exhaustion. Here's something even more powerful. Your brain excels at recognizing subtle patterns in human behavior, reading emotional contexts, and making creative connections. AI excels at finding patterns in massive data sets and complex systems. When you combine these different types of pattern recognition, you create what researchers call amplified intelligence. Lisa discovered this as a sales professional. She was naturally good at reading emotions of her clients and adapting her approach in real time. But she struggled with broader market trends and timing patterns. She began using AI tools to analyze market data, customer behavior patterns, and optimal timing. Then she would apply her human intuition to interpret what these patterns meant for individual relationships. This combination led to a 300% increase in her closing rates. The key insight is that human and artificial intelligence process information in complementary ways. Instead of competing, these different processing styles can work together to create results that surpass what either could achieve alone. Your emotional intelligence and contextual understanding enhance AI analytical capabilities, while AI data processing amplifies your intuitive insights. There's one more psychological principle that can transform your productivity: flow states. These are periods of peak performance where you feel completely absorbed in your work, time seems to disappear, and you produce your best results. Research shows that flow states occur when you have clear goals, immediate feedback, and the right balance of challenge and skill level. Marcus struggled to maintain focus during his coding sessions. Constant interruptions, debugging challenges, and unclear requirements kept breaking his concentration. He implemented AI tools that monitored his code in real time, suggested improvements, handled routine tasks, and filtered communications based on urgency. This created an environment where Marcus could enter deep flow states and maintain them for hours at a time. The psychology here involves understanding that flow states require specific mental conditions. When AI handles environmental management and routine cognitive tasks, your brain can more easily enter and sustain these peak performance states. This leads to exponentially better results and much greater satisfaction with your work. These psychological principles form the foundation of truly effective human-AI collaboration. Understanding how your brain works differently than AI allows you to design systems that leverage both sets of strengths. Instead of fighting against your natural limitations, you create workflows that work with your psychology while maximizing AI capabilities. This approach creates productivity improvements that compound over time. Each system you implement makes the next one more effective. Your results don't just get better linearly. They improve exponentially, leading to outcomes that seem impossible through traditional methods alone. Coming up next, I'll reveal the secret blueprint that top performers use to create AI partnerships that seem almost magical. It's a framework most people get completely wrong. Chapter 2: The Human AI Partnership Blueprint. Rachel was a consultant who thought she understood productivity. She had tried every system, every app, every productivity hack on the internet. Yet she was still working 14-hour days and barely keeping up with client demands. Then she discovered something that changed everything. Instead of trying to do everything herself or letting AI do everything for her, she created what she calls her partnership blueprint. Within 60 days, Rachel was handling twice as many clients while working half the hours. But here's the thing, she wasn't just more productive. She was producing better work than ever before. The secret wasn't in any single tool or technique. It was in understanding how to design workflows that combine human strengths with AI capabilities in specific, strategic ways. Most people think about AI as either a replacement for human work or just another tool to add to their toolkit. But the real magic happens when you create genuine partnerships where each component does what it does best. Think about the best partnerships you've seen in business or sports. Both partners have different strengths, and they've figured out how to coordinate those strengths to achieve results neither could reach alone. That's exactly what we're doing here, except one of your partners happens to be artificial intelligence. Here's how you build these partnerships. First, you need to understand what psychologists call cognitive division of labor. This means identifying which mental tasks your brain excels at and which tasks AI handles better. Then you design workflows that route the right tasks to the right processor. Your brain is incredible at things like reading between the lines, understanding context and emotions, making creative leaps, and adapting to unexpected situations. AI excels at processing large amounts of data, following complex rules consistently, monitoring multiple inputs simultaneously, and performing repetitive tasks without fatigue. Tom learned this lesson as a financial advisor. He was spending hours every week researching market trends, analyzing client portfolios, and preparing reports. His brain was doing work that AI could handle much faster and more accurately. But then he would meet with clients, and that's where his human skills became invaluable. Reading their emotions, understanding their fears about money, adapting his communication style to what each person needed to hear. Tom redesigned his workflow using what he calls the partnership blueprint. AI systems would analyze market data, screen potential investments, and prepare initial reports. This freed up Tom's mental energy for what only humans can do well: building relationships, providing emotional support during market volatility, and making nuanced recommendations based on factors that don't show up in any spreadsheet. The results were dramatic. Tom's analysis quality improved because AI doesn't miss details or make calculation errors. His client relationships deepened because he could focus entirely on understanding their needs instead of being distracted by data processing. His income doubled within 6 months. Here's the framework Tom used, and you can apply this same blueprint to any type of work. Step 1 is task mapping. You list everything you do in a typical work week. Then you categorize each task into one of 4 categories. Human-only tasks require emotional intelligence, creativity, relationship building, or complex judgment calls. These stay with you. AI-only tasks involve data processing, routine calculations, monitoring, or following predetermined rules. These go to AI systems. Collaborative tasks benefit from both human insight and AI processing power. These become partnership workflows. Elimination tasks shouldn't be done by anyone because they don't add real value. Step 2 is interface design. This is where most people mess up. They think they can just drop AI tools into their existing workflows and expect magic. But that's like trying to add a race car engine to a bicycle. The interface between human and AI tasks needs to be smooth and intuitive. Maria discovered this as a marketing director. She initially tried using AI writing tools to create content, but the results felt robotic and disconnected from her brand voice. The interface between her creative vision and the AI output wasn't working, so Maria redesigned the workflow. Instead of asking AI to write complete pieces, she would brainstorm concepts and key messages herself. Then AI would help research supporting data, generate multiple variations, and optimize for different platforms. Finally, Maria would review and refine everything to match her brand voice. This interface design created content that was both data-driven and authentically human. The AI handled the research and variation generation that used to take Maria hours. Maria focused on strategy, creativity, and brand alignment. The result was content that performed better than anything she had created working alone. Step 3 is feedback loop creation. The best partnerships improve over time. You need systems that learn from results and continuously optimize the division of labor between human and AI components. James implemented this as a project manager. He started with basic task automation using AI tools for scheduling, resource tracking, and status reporting. But he built feedback mechanisms to track which AI suggestions were most helpful and which human interventions produced the best outcomes. Over time, the AI systems learned to flag issues that needed human attention while handling routine management tasks automatically. The feedback loops helped James identify patterns he never would have noticed working alone. Certain types of projects needed more human oversight. Specific team members worked better with different communication styles. Some client relationships required more frequent personal check-ins while others preferred automated updates. Step 4 is iterative optimization. Your partnership blueprint shouldn't be static. As AI capabilities improve and you develop new skills, the optimal division of labor changes. You need processes for regularly evaluating and adjusting your workflows. Karen started as a real estate agent using AI for basic market research and lead generation. But as she became more sophisticated with AI tools and they became more capable, she gradually shifted more complex tasks to AI systems. Property valuation, analysis, market trend predictions, even initial client consultations moved into the AI category. This freed Karen to focus on high-value activities like negotiation, relationship building, and providing strategic advice to clients. The key insight is that partnership blueprints are living systems that evolve over time. What works today might not be optimal 6 months from now. You need regular review cycles to assess performance and adjust task allocation. Step 5 is performance measurement. You can't optimize what you don't measure. The most successful human-AI partnerships track specific metrics that reveal how well the collaboration is working. Speed metrics show how much faster you can complete different types of work. Quality metrics reveal whether AI assistance improves or degrades the quality of your output. Satisfaction metrics track whether you enjoy your work more when routine tasks are automated. Impact metrics measure whether you're achieving better business results through the partnership. David tracks all of these metrics as a business consultant. He found that AI assistance increased his research speed by 400% while improving accuracy. Client satisfaction scores increased because he could spend more time understanding their specific challenges instead of gathering basic information. His billable rate increased because he was delivering higher-value strategic insights rather than routine analysis. But here's what David found most valuable: energy metrics. By the end of each day, he felt more energized rather than drained. The AI systems handled the mentally exhausting tasks like data gathering and initial analysis. David's brain stayed fresh for creative problem-solving and strategic thinking. The 6th step is scaling and systematization. Once you've proven that your partnership blueprint works, you can scale it across different areas of your work and life. The principles remain the same, but the specific applications multiply. Lisa started by using AI partnerships for her content creation workflow. The success was so dramatic that she expanded the blueprint to her customer service, financial planning, research processes, and even personal life management. Each application followed the same framework but with different task divisions and interfaces. The scaling effect is where partnership blueprints become truly powerful. Each successful implementation makes you more skilled at designing human-AI collaborations. You start seeing opportunities for partnership everywhere. Your overall productivity doesn't just improve linearly. It compounds as you become more sophisticated at orchestrating these collaborations. The final step is community building. The most successful people using partnership blueprints don't work in isolation. They connect with others who are exploring human-AI collaboration and share insights about what works and what doesn't. This is important because AI capabilities change rapidly. New tools emerge constantly. The strategies that work best are often discovered through experimentation and shared learning rather than formal training. Your partnership blueprint becomes a competitive advantage that grows stronger over time. While others are either resisting AI or trying to replace human skills entirely, you're creating symbiotic relationships that leverage the best of both worlds. Coming up, I'll show you the psychological trick that eliminates mental fatigue while doubling your thinking capacity. It's something even productivity experts miss. Chapter 3: Mental Load Distribution Mastery. Alex was brilliant at his job, but he had a problem that was destroying his productivity. By 2 p.m. every day, his brain felt like it was running through mud. Simple decisions became impossible. Creative thinking vanished. He would stare at his computer screen, knowing what needed to be done, but unable to think clearly enough to do it. Alex thought this was just part of working hard until he discovered something that changed everything. The problem wasn't his intelligence or work ethic. It was how he was distributing mental load throughout his day. Within 2 weeks of applying what you're about to learn, Alex was maintaining peak mental performance from morning until evening. His afternoon energy crash disappeared. His decision-making stayed sharp all day. His creative output increased dramatically, but here's what surprised him most. He was actually working fewer total hours while producing better results. The secret is understanding that your brain operates like a sophisticated computer with different types of processing capacity. Most people treat their mind like it has unlimited RAM and processing power. They load it up with too many tasks, too much information, and too many decisions. Then they wonder why performance degrades throughout the day. But when you understand how to distribute mental loads strategically, everything changes. You're not just more productive. You maintain peak cognitive performance for much longer periods while feeling energized instead of drained. Here's the first principle of mental load distribution. Your brain has what researchers call different cognitive channels. Visual processing, auditory processing, working memory, long-term memory retrieval, and executive decision-making all operate somewhat independently. When you overload one channel while others sit idle, you create bottlenecks that slow down everything. Think about it like a highway system. If all traffic tries to use one lane while other lanes stay empty, you get congestion even though the road has plenty of capacity. Your brain works the same way. When you learn to distribute cognitive tasks across different mental channels, you can handle much more information while feeling less stressed. Sarah discovered this as a graphic designer. She was spending entire days staring at screens, using primarily visual processing channels. By afternoon, her eyes were strained and her visual creativity was exhausted. But her auditory processing was completely fresh. Sarah started using AI voice tools to handle research, brainstorming, and client communications. This distributed her mental load across different cognitive channels and eliminated her afternoon crash. The second principle involves what psychologists call cognitive switching costs. Every time you change from one type of mental task to another, your brain needs time to refocus. These switching costs add up throughout the day, creating hidden sources of mental fatigue. Most people organize their work randomly. They might go from writing emails to analyzing data to having a phone call to reviewing documents. Each switch requires mental energy to change contexts and refocus attention. By the end of the day, a significant portion of their cognitive capacity has been wasted on switching between different types of thinking. Michael learned to batch similar cognitive tasks together. He would handle all data analysis in one block, all creative work in another block, and all communication tasks in a third block. This eliminated most cognitive switching costs and dramatically reduced mental fatigue. But here's where it gets interesting. Michael used AI systems to handle the transitions between different task types. For example, when transitioning from creative work to analytical tasks, an AI system would prepare summaries of relevant data and present them in easily digestible formats. This reduced the mental energy needed to context switch while ensuring no important information was missed. The third principle is called cognitive load leveling. Your brain has natural rhythms of peak performance and lower energy periods throughout the day. Most people fight against these rhythms instead of working with them. They try to do demanding cognitive work when their brain is in low energy mode and waste peak performance time on routine tasks. Jennifer tracked her mental energy patterns for 2 weeks and discovered something fascinating. Her peak creative thinking happened between 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. Her best analytical thinking occurred right after lunch. Her lowest cognitive capacity was between 2 p.m. and 4 p.m. Instead of fighting these patterns, Jennifer redesigned her workflow to match tasks with optimal mental states. During peak creative hours, Jennifer worked on strategic projects and brainstorming. During analytical peaks, she handled data review and problem solving. During low energy periods, she used AI systems to handle routine tasks while her brain recovered. This alignment between task demands and cognitive capacity increased her overall productivity by 200%. The fourth principle involves external cognitive scaffolding. This means using AI systems to hold information, track contexts, and manage complexity so your brain can focus on high-value thinking. Think of it as creating external memory and processing systems that work alongside your natural cognitive abilities. David implemented this as a consultant managing multiple client projects. Instead of trying to keep all project details in his head, he created AI systems that tracked project status, client preferences, deadlines, and key information. When switching between clients, the AI would present relevant context and updates. This eliminated the mental load of trying to remember everything while ensuring nothing fell through the cracks. But David went further. He used AI systems to pre-process information before it reached his attention. Market research, competitor analysis, and industry updates were filtered and summarized based on relevance to specific projects. This meant David's brain only had to process information that was directly useful for current decisions. The fifth principle is attention recovery architecture. Your brain needs specific types of breaks to recover from different kinds of cognitive work. But most people take breaks randomly without understanding what type of recovery their brain actually needs. Focused attention work requires breaks that involve soft fascination, like looking at nature or listening to music. Creative work benefits from physical movement that doesn't require mental attention. Analytical work recovers best with activities that engage different cognitive channels entirely. Lisa designed what she calls her recovery protocol based on these principles. After intense focus sessions, she would take walks outside or look at nature photos. After creative brainstorming, she would do light physical exercise. After data analysis, she would engage in completely different activities like listening to podcasts or casual conversations. But here's the key insight. Lisa used AI systems to monitor her work patterns and automatically suggest appropriate recovery activities based on what type of cognitive work she had been doing. This took the guesswork out of recovery and ensured she was always giving her brain what it needed to maintain peak performance. The sixth principle involves cognitive load balancing across time horizons. Your brain performs better when cognitive demands are distributed evenly rather than concentrated into overwhelming periods followed by underutilization. Most people experience feast or famine cycles where some days are cognitively overwhelming while others involve mostly routine work. This creates inefficient use of mental resources and leads to burnout during peak periods. Robert solved this by using AI systems to analyze his work patterns and automatically redistribute cognitive load across longer time periods. Complex analytical projects were broken into smaller chunks and distributed across multiple days. Creative work was balanced with routine tasks. Deadline management ensured that multiple high-demand projects weren't concentrated in the same time period. This load balancing eliminated the overwhelming days that used to leave Robert mentally exhausted. It also eliminated the underutilized days where his cognitive capacity was wasted on routine tasks. The result was consistently high performance without the peaks and valleys that create stress and inefficiency. The seventh principle is dynamic load adjustment. Your cognitive capacity changes based on sleep, stress, health, and other factors. Static productivity systems don't account for these variations. But AI systems can monitor performance indicators and automatically adjust cognitive load based on current capacity. When you're operating at peak capacity, the system can handle more complex and demanding tasks. When you're dealing with stress, lack of sleep, or other factors that reduce cognitive capacity, the system can shift more load to AI processing while preserving your mental energy for essential decisions. Emma implemented dynamic load adjustment as a project manager. On days when she felt sharp and energized, her AI systems would present more complex problems and strategic decisions. On days when she felt tired or stressed, routine decisions were automated and information was pre-processed more extensively. This ensured Emma was always working at her optimal capacity without pushing beyond sustainable limits. The result of mastering mental load distribution is what researchers call sustainable peak performance. Instead of burning through cognitive resources and experiencing afternoon crashes, you maintain consistent high-level thinking throughout your workday. Instead of feeling drained at the end of each day, you feel energized and accomplished. Coming up, I'll reveal the decision-making system that eliminates choice paralysis and guarantees better outcomes every time. It's based on how top executives think differently about decisions. Chapter 4: AI Decision-Making Psychology. Mark was paralyzed by choices. Every day brought dozens of decisions, from simple email responses to complex, strategic choices about his business. He would spend hours analyzing options, second-guessing himself, and often making no decision at all. The fear of making the wrong choice was preventing him from making any choice. His business was stagnating because he couldn't move forward decisively. Then Mark discovered something that transformed his decision-making completely. Within 30 days, he was making faster, better decisions with complete confidence. His business growth accelerated dramatically, but here's what shocked him most. The secret wasn't about making perfect decisions. It was about creating a decision-making system that improved over time while eliminating the psychological barriers that slow most people down. The key insight is that decision-making is not really about choosing between options. It's about managing uncertainty, processing information efficiently, and learning from outcomes. When you understand the psychology of how great decision-makers think, you can design AI-assisted systems that amplify your natural decision-making abilities. Most people approach decisions emotionally. They get overwhelmed by possibilities, paralyzed by potential mistakes, or rushed by time pressure. But the best decision-makers use systematic approaches that remove emotion from the process while preserving intuition and creativity. Here's the first principle of AI-enhanced decision-making: information architecture. Your brain can only process a limited amount of information at once before decision quality degrades. But AI can organize, filter, and present information in ways that optimize human decision-making. The secret is not giving your brain more information. It's giving your brain the right information in the right format at the right time. Too much information creates analysis paralysis. Too little information leads to poor choices. The optimal amount is just enough to make a confident decision without cognitive overload. Jessica discovered this as a marketing director choosing between different campaign strategies. Initially, she would gather massive amounts of data about market trends, competitor analysis, customer preferences, and performance metrics. The sheer volume of information made it impossible to see clear patterns or make confident choices. Jessica redesigned her decision process using AI systems to pre-process information into decision-relevant insights. Instead of raw data, she received summaries that highlighted key factors, potential risks, and likely outcomes for each option. This reduced her information processing time by 80% while improving decision quality significantly. The second principle is probability calibration. Most people are terrible at estimating probabilities and risks. They overestimate dramatic but unlikely events while underestimating gradual but probable changes. They focus on worst-case scenarios while ignoring most likely outcomes. AI systems excel at probability analysis when trained on relevant historical data. But the key is presenting probability information in ways that human psychology can interpret accurately. Raw percentages don't work well for most people. Visual representations, comparative rankings, and scenario modeling work much better. Brian learned this lesson as an investment advisor. His clients would make poor financial decisions because they couldn't accurately assess risks and probabilities. Market crashes felt more likely than they actually were because they're dramatic and memorable. Gradual market growth felt less certain than it actually was because it's boring and predictable. Brian started using AI systems to translate probability data into formats his clients could understand intuitively. Instead of saying there's a 15% chance of a significant market decline, he would show visual comparisons and historical context that made probabilities feel more concrete and accurate. The third principle involves cognitive bias compensation. Everyone has predictable biases that distort decision-making. Confirmation bias makes you seek information that supports what you already believe. Availability bias makes recent or memorable events seem more important than they are. Anchoring bias makes you rely too heavily on the first piece of information you receive. The solution isn't trying to eliminate biases, which is nearly impossible. It's designing systems that automatically compensate for known biases by presenting information in ways that counteract their effects. Amanda implemented bias compensation as a hiring manager. She realized that her hiring decisions were influenced by factors that had nothing to do with job performance. Candidates who reminded her of successful employees seemed more qualified. Recent interviews influenced her judgment more than earlier ones. Physical appearance and personal similarity affected her evaluations unconsciously. Amanda created an AI-assisted evaluation system that collected the same information from all candidates but presented it in formats that reduced bias effects. Names and photos were hidden during initial evaluations. Information was presented in randomized orders. Comparative analysis highlighted actual performance predictors while de-emphasizing irrelevant factors. The fourth principle is decision velocity optimization. Most decisions don't require perfect information or extensive analysis. They require good enough information processed quickly. The cost of delayed decisions often exceeds the cost of imperfect decisions. But people struggle to distinguish between decisions that deserve extensive analysis and decisions that should be made quickly. They either rush through important choices or overanalyze routine decisions. Both patterns waste time and mental energy. Carlos solved this as an operations manager by creating what he calls decision categorization systems. AI tools would automatically classify decisions based on impact, reversibility, and time sensitivity. High impact, irreversible decisions got extensive analysis. Low impact or easily reversible decisions got streamlined processing. This categorization eliminated the mental energy wasted on unimportant decisions while ensuring adequate attention for crucial choices. Carlos could make dozens of routine decisions quickly while reserving his cognitive resources for strategic choices that truly mattered. The fifth principle involves outcome tracking and learning. Most people make decisions and then move on without systematically learning from results. This means they repeat the same decision-making mistakes over and over without improvement. The best decision makers create feedback loops that capture outcomes and identify patterns that improve future decisions. But manual tracking is time-consuming and often abandoned. AI systems can automate outcome tracking and pattern recognition, making continuous improvement effortless. Diana implemented outcome tracking as a product manager. Every product decision was logged with the reasoning, expected outcomes, and actual results. AI systems identified which types of decisions consistently produce good results and which decision-making approaches led to poor outcomes. Over time, Diana's decision accuracy improved dramatically. She learned which information sources were most reliable, which analysis methods worked best for different types of decisions, and how her intuitive judgments compared to analytical approaches. The sixth principle is collaborative decision enhancement. Many important decisions benefit from multiple perspectives, but traditional group decision-making often produces poor results due to groupthink, political dynamics, and inefficient information sharing. AI systems can facilitate better group decisions by anonymizing input, synthesizing different perspectives, and highlighting areas of agreement and disagreement. This preserves the benefits of diverse thinking while eliminating many of the problems that plague group decisions. Robert used collaborative enhancement for strategic business decisions. Instead of traditional meetings where the loudest voices dominated, he used AI systems to collect input from team members independently. The AI would identify common themes, highlight unique insights, and present synthesized information that captured the collective intelligence of the group. This approach produced better decisions while saving time and reducing interpersonal conflicts. Team members felt heard even when their specific recommendations weren't adopted because they could see how their input influenced the final decision. The seventh principle involves stress state decision management. Your decision-making ability changes dramatically based on stress levels, time pressure, and emotional states. Decisions made under high stress often look irrational in retrospect. But sometimes you have to make important decisions when you're not in optimal mental states. AI systems can provide decision support that compensates for stress-related decision degradation. When stress is high, the system can simplify information presentation, provide stronger guidance, and flag decisions that might benefit from delay if possible. Lisa implemented stress state management as an emergency room supervisor. Medical decisions under pressure can have life or death consequences, but stress and time pressure are unavoidable. AI systems would monitor stress indicators and automatically adjust decision support accordingly. During high-stress situations, information was presented more simply and clearly. Decision trees were more explicit, safety checks were more prominent. During calmer periods, the system allowed for more nuanced decision-making with less guidance. The result of mastering AI-enhanced decision-making is what experts call decision confidence. You make choices quickly when speed matters and thoroughly when stakes are high. You learn from outcomes systematically. You are not paralyzed by uncertainty or overwhelmed by options. Most importantly, you develop trust in your decision-making process. Even when individual decisions don't work out perfectly, You know that your systematic approach will produce good results over time. This confidence allows you to take action decisively without second-guessing yourself constantly. Coming up next, I'll show you the creativity amplification technique that multiplies your innovative thinking by 500%. It's how breakthrough innovators combine human imagination with AI processing power. Chapter 5: Creativity Amplification with AI. Rachel was stuck in creative quicksand. As a brand strategist, she was paid to generate breakthrough ideas, but her creative well had run dry. She would stare at blank whiteboards for hours, forcing herself to brainstorm, only to produce the same tired concepts over and over. Her clients were getting restless. Her confidence was shattered. She felt like her creative abilities were disappearing just when she needed them most. Then Rachel discovered something that didn't just restore her creativity. It amplified it beyond anything she had ever experienced. Within 2 weeks, she was generating more innovative ideas in a single session than she used to produce in entire months. Her clients were amazed by the originality and quality of her concepts. But here's what surprised Rachel most. She wasn't working harder or forcing creativity. She was working with AI to unlock creative potential she never knew she had. The secret isn't about replacing human creativity with artificial intelligence. It's about understanding how human creative thinking works and using AI to amplify each stage of the creative process. When you know how to do this correctly, your innovative capacity doesn't just improve, it multiplies exponentially. Most people misunderstand creativity completely. They think it's about having sudden flashes of inspiration or being naturally gifted. But research shows that creativity is actually a systematic process that can be enhanced and optimized. The best creative professionals use specific techniques to generate, develop, and refine ideas consistently. Here's the first principle of AI-amplified creativity: divergent thinking enhancement. Your brain generates ideas by making connections between existing concepts, experiences, and information. The more diverse connections you can make, the more creative your ideas become. But your brain is limited by what you've personally experienced and remember at any given moment. AI systems can expand your connection-making capacity dramatically by providing relevant information, analogies, and perspectives from vast databases of human knowledge. This isn't about AI generating ideas for you. It's about AI feeding your brain the raw materials for much more diverse and innovative thinking. Marcus discovered this as a product designer struggling to create fresh concepts for smart home devices. His ideas kept returning to variations of the same basic approaches he had seen before. When Marcus started using AI to research analogies from completely different industries, everything changed. The AI would find examples of how marine biologists solved sensing problems, how urban planners managed resource distribution, or how musicians created harmony from discord. These diverse analogies sparked connections Marcus never would have made on his own. His product concepts became truly innovative instead of just incremental improvements on existing designs. The second principle involves ideation velocity acceleration. Most people generate ideas slowly because they evaluate and filter ideas as they think of them. This simultaneous generation and evaluation kills creative flow and prevents your brain from building on wild or unusual concepts that might lead to breakthroughs. The solution is separating idea generation from idea evaluation. During creative sessions, you want to generate as many ideas as possible without judgment. Then you evaluate and refine ideas in a separate process. AI can dramatically accelerate the generation phase by suggesting variations, extensions, and combinations of your initial concepts. Sophie learned this as a marketing creative who struggled to move beyond her first few ideas. She would generate 2 or 3 concepts and then get stuck trying to perfect them instead of exploring more possibilities. Sophie started using AI to rapidly generate variations and combinations of her initial ideas. For every concept Sophie created, the AI would suggest dozens of variations, combinations with other ideas, and extensions in different directions. This rapid ideation allowed Sophie to explore creative territory she never would have discovered through traditional brainstorming. Her campaigns became much more original and effective. The third principle is perspective multiplication. Creativity often comes from looking at problems from unusual angles or through different lenses. But you're naturally limited by your own perspective, experience, and knowledge. AI can provide multiple expert perspectives on any creative challenge. You can ask AI to analyze your problem from the perspective of different industries, cultures, historical periods, or expert disciplines. Each perspective reveals different aspects of the challenge and suggests different solution approaches. This multiplies your creative options exponentially. James used perspective multiplication to solve branding challenges for technology companies. Instead of approaching every brand from a traditional marketing perspective, he would ask AI to analyze the challenge from the viewpoints of anthropologists, psychologists, historians, artists, and scientists. Each perspective revealed insights that informed more creative brand strategies. The anthropological perspective highlighted cultural meanings. The psychological perspective revealed emotional triggers. The historical perspective showed how similar challenges were solved in different eras. This multi-perspective approach produced breakthrough brand concepts that competitors couldn't replicate. The fourth principle involves creative constraint optimization. Counterintuitively, creativity often improves when you work within specific limitations. Constraints force your brain to find novel solutions within defined parameters. But choosing the right constraints is crucial. Too many constraints limit creativity. Too few constraints lead to unfocused thinking. AI can help identify optimal creative constraints by analyzing successful creative work in your field and identifying which limitations tend to produce the most innovative results. The AI can also generate creative constraints based on your specific goals and challenges. Elena discovered this as a fashion designer who felt overwhelmed by infinite possibilities. Every design project felt directionless because she could go anywhere creatively. Elena started using AI to generate specific creative constraints for each project. For one collection, the AI suggested designing only with sustainable materials available within a 50-mile radius. For another, it suggested using only geometric shapes found in urban architecture. These constraints didn't limit Elena's creativity. They focused it in ways that produced more innovative and coherent designs. The fifth principle is synthesis pattern recognition. Great creative work often combines existing elements in new ways rather than creating something completely original. But recognizing which combinations might work requires seeing patterns across diverse domains. AI excels at pattern recognition across massive amounts of information. You can use AI to identify successful combination patterns in your field and related areas. The AI can suggest which elements from different sources might combine well and predict which combinations are most likely to produce innovative results. David applied synthesis pattern recognition as a restaurant concept developer. Instead of trying to invent completely new cuisine types, he used AI to identify successful fusion patterns from around the world. The AI would analyze which combinations of cooking techniques, ingredients, and cultural influences had produced popular restaurants. This pattern recognition helped David create restaurant concepts that felt fresh and innovative while being based on proven combination principles. His success rate for new restaurant launches increased dramatically because he was working with synthesis patterns that had been validated in different contexts. The sixth principle involves creative feedback loop optimization. Creativity improves through iteration and refinement. But getting quality feedback on creative work can be slow and expensive. AI can provide immediate, detailed feedback on creative concepts from multiple analytical perspectives. The AI can evaluate your ideas for originality, feasibility, market potential, and alignment with your goals. It can identify strengths to build on and weaknesses to address. This immediate feedback allows for much faster creative iteration and improvement. Maria used feedback loop optimization as a content creator developing video concepts. Instead of waiting for audience reactions to determine which ideas worked, she could get immediate AI analysis of concept strengths and potential improvements. The AI would evaluate entertainment value, educational content, audience alignment, and production feasibility. This allowed Maria to refine concepts before production, saving time and increasing success rates. Her content quality improved dramatically because she could iterate on ideas quickly instead of learning through trial and error. The seventh principle is creative flow state enhancement. Your brain produces the most innovative ideas when you're in flow states characterized by focused attention, reduced self-consciousness, and optimal challenge levels. AI can help create and maintain creative flow states by managing distractions, providing appropriate challenges, and maintaining optimal information flow. The AI can monitor your creative session patterns and automatically adjust environmental factors to maintain flow. It can provide new stimuli when you get stuck and reduce complexity when you become overwhelmed. This creates ideal conditions for sustained creative thinking. Thomas discovered flow state enhancement as a songwriter who struggled with inconsistent creative sessions. Some days he would write amazing songs effortlessly. Other days he couldn't generate anything worthwhile. Thomas started using AI to create optimal conditions for creative flow. The AI would analyze his most productive sessions and recreate similar conditions. It would provide musical inspiration when needed, suggest lyrical directions when he got stuck, and help maintain the right balance of challenge and support. Thomas's creative output became much more consistent and higher quality. The result of mastering AI-amplified creativity is what researchers call sustainable innovation. You don't rely on unpredictable flashes of inspiration. You have systematic approaches for generating breakthrough ideas consistently. Your creative capacity grows over time as you develop more sophisticated collaboration techniques with AI systems. Most importantly, you maintain ownership and authenticity of your creative work. AI doesn't create for you. It amplifies your natural, creative abilities and provides resources for much more innovative thinking. The ideas remain uniquely yours, but they're informed by much broader knowledge and perspective than you could access alone. Coming up, I'll reveal the time psychology system that makes every hour feel like 3. It's how peak performers seem to have unlimited time while everyone else feels constantly rushed. Chapter 6, Time Psychology AI Systems. Linda felt like time was her enemy. Every day brought more tasks than hours to complete them. She would work frantically from morning until night, always behind schedule, always stressed about what wasn't getting done. Time management apps and productivity techniques helped a little, but nothing solved the fundamental problem. There simply weren't enough hours in the day for everything she needed to accomplish. Then Linda discovered something that completely changed her relationship with time. She wasn't actually lacking time. She was experiencing time perception distortion. Within 30 days of applying what you're about to learn, Linda felt like she had gained several extra hours each day. Her stress levels dropped dramatically. She accomplished more than ever before while feeling calm and in control. The secret isn't about managing time better. It's about understanding the psychology of how your brain perceives time and using AI systems to optimize that perception. When you do this correctly, time doesn't just feel more abundant. You actually accomplish more in the same time periods because your brain operates more efficiently. Most people think time is objective and fixed. But neuroscience shows that time perception is highly subjective and influenced by cognitive load, attention patterns, stress levels, and task complexity. When you understand these factors, you can design systems that make time feel more expansive while increasing actual productivity. Here's the first principle of time psychology optimization: attention density management. When your attention is fragmented across multiple tasks or concerns, time feels compressed and stressful. When your attention is focused on a single task, time feels more expansive and manageable. The key is designing workflows that maximize attention density while maintaining productivity. Most people fragment their attention constantly. They check emails while writing reports, think about future tasks while working on current ones, and mentally juggle multiple concerns simultaneously. This fragmentation makes time feel rushed and creates cognitive overload that reduces efficiency. Michael solved this as a consultant managing multiple client projects. Instead of switching between projects throughout the day, he used AI systems to batch similar work and create focused time blocks for each client. The AI would handle monitoring other projects and flagging truly urgent issues while Michael maintained complete focus on one project at a time. This attention density approach made time feel less pressured and increased the quality of Michael's work. Clients noticed that he seemed more present and thorough during their project time. Michael accomplished more while feeling less stressed about time constraints. The second principle involves cognitive load time dilation. When your brain is overloaded with information processing, time perception speeds up and feels compressed. When cognitive load is optimized, time perception slows down and feels more manageable. AI systems can regulate cognitive load to create optimal time perception. Think about how time feels different during vacation versus busy work periods. During vacation, your cognitive load is low and time feels abundant. During busy periods, high cognitive load makes time feel scarce and rushed. You can create vacation-like time perception even during productive work by managing cognitive load strategically. Sarah discovered this as a financial planner who felt constantly overwhelmed by data analysis requirements. She would spend entire days processing financial information, and time would seem to disappear without clear progress. Sarah implemented AI systems to pre-process data and present information in easily digestible formats. This cognitive load reduction changed Sarah's time perception dramatically. The same work that used to feel rushed and overwhelming now felt calm and manageable. She accomplished more analysis in less time because her brain wasn't struggling with information overload. The third principle is task completion rhythm optimization. Your brain gets satisfaction and energy from completing tasks. But most people structure their work in ways that delay completion satisfaction, making time feel less rewarding and more draining. AI can optimize task structure to maximize completion satisfaction and positive time perception. Instead of working on large projects that take days or weeks to complete, you break work into smaller components that can be completed quickly. Each completion provides psychological satisfaction and energy for the next task. This creates positive momentum that makes time feel more productive and engaging. David applied this principle as a software developer working on complex applications. Large coding projects would stretch for weeks without clear completion points, making time feel unproductive and frustrating. David started using AI to break complex projects into smaller, completable modules. Each module could be finished in a few hours and provided clear satisfaction and progress indicators. This completion rhythm made David's work time feel more rewarding and energizing. He maintained motivation and focus throughout long projects because he experienced regular completion satisfaction. The fourth principle involves future time anxiety reduction. Much of the stress that makes time feel scarce comes from worrying about future tasks and deadlines. Your brain spends cognitive resources on future concerns instead of focusing on current work. AI systems can monitor future obligations and provide reassurance that nothing will be forgotten or missed. When you trust that important future tasks are being tracked and managed, your brain can relax into present moment focus. This reduces time anxiety and creates more positive time perception. You're not constantly thinking about what you need to do later because you know it's being handled systematically. Jennifer implemented future anxiety reduction as a project manager juggling multiple deadlines and commitments. She would constantly worrying about forgetting important tasks or missing deadlines, which created background stress that made every day feel rushed and overwhelming. Jennifer used AI systems to track all commitments, monitor deadlines, and provide daily updates on upcoming priorities. This eliminated her future anxiety and allowed complete focus on current tasks. Time felt more calm and manageable because she wasn't mentally juggling future concerns while trying to work. The fifth principle is energy time synchronization. Your energy levels fluctuate throughout the day, but most people schedule tasks randomly without considering energy patterns. When you're doing high-energy work during low-energy periods, time feels slow and unproductive. When you align task energy requirements with natural energy patterns, time feels efficient and flowing. AI systems can learn your energy patterns and automatically schedule different types of work during optimal energy windows. High-focus work gets scheduled during peak energy periods. Routine tasks get scheduled during lower energy times. This synchronization makes every hour feel more productive and satisfying. Robert discovered energy time synchronization as a marketing director who felt like some hours were incredibly productive while others were wasteful. He realized that he was fighting against his natural energy rhythms instead of working with them. Robert used AI to track his energy patterns and automatically schedule tasks accordingly. Creative work got scheduled during his peak creative energy periods. Administrative tasks got scheduled during lower energy times. This alignment made every hour feel more productive and eliminated the frustration of trying to do demanding work when his energy was low. The sixth principle involves transition time optimization. Most people waste significant time switching between different types of work because transitions require mental energy and context switching. These transition periods make time feel inefficient and fragmented. AI can optimize transitions to minimize time loss and maintain momentum. The AI can prepare context for upcoming tasks, organize information needed for transitions, and minimize the cognitive effort required to switch between different types of work. This makes time feel more fluid and continuous instead of choppy and inefficient. Lisa applied transition optimization as a consultant who worked with multiple clients each day. Switching between different client contexts used to take significant time and mental energy. She would need several minutes to remember where she left off with each client and what needed to be done next. Lisa implemented AI systems that prepared client context before each transition. When switching to a new client, the AI would present recent updates, current priorities, and relevant information. This eliminated transition time and allowed immediate productive engagement with each client's work. The seventh principle involves achievement amplification feedback. Your perception of time productivity depends partly on feeling like you're making meaningful progress toward important goals. When progress feels slow or unclear, time feels wasted and frustrating. When progress feels rapid and visible, time feels valuable and energizing. AI systems can track progress across multiple goals and projects, highlighting achievements that might otherwise go unnoticed. This progress amplification makes time feel more productive and satisfying even when you're working on long-term projects with delayed gratification. Mark used achievement amplification as a business owner working toward long-term growth goals. Daily work often felt disconnected from larger objectives, making time feel less meaningful and motivating. Mark implemented AI tracking that connected daily activities to long-term progress metrics. Each day, the AI would show how current work contributed to monthly and yearly goals. Small daily achievements were highlighted and connected to larger objectives. This progress visibility made every hour feel more meaningful and motivating because Mark could see how current work contributed to important long-term outcomes. The result of mastering time psychology AI systems is what researchers call temporal flow optimization. Time feels abundant instead of scarce. Work feels engaging instead of overwhelming. Progress feels visible instead of unclear. You accomplish more while feeling less stressed about time constraints. Most importantly, you develop a positive relationship with time instead of feeling like you're constantly fighting against it. Time becomes an ally in achieving your goals rather than an enemy that creates stress and pressure. Coming up, I'll show you the thinking automation system that handles routine mental work so your brain stays fresh for breakthrough insights. It's like having a cognitive assistant that never gets tired. Chapter 7: Automated Thinking Revolution. Stephen was burning through his mental energy on tasks that shouldn't require thinking at all. Every day, he would make hundreds of routine decisions, process predictable information, and handle repetitive mental work that drained his cognitive resources. By afternoon, his brain felt like a phone with a dying battery. He had no mental energy left for the strategic thinking and creative problem-solving that actually mattered for his success. Then Stephen discovered how to automate the routine thinking that was exhausting his mind. Within 3 weeks, he felt like he had received a cognitive upgrade. His mental energy stayed high throughout the day. His capacity for deep thinking increased dramatically. He could tackle complex problems with the same mental freshness he used to have only in the morning. The breakthrough wasn't about thinking faster or harder. It was about identifying which thinking tasks could be automated and which required human cognitive resources. When you get this division right, you preserve your mental energy for work that only your brain can do while letting AI systems handle routine cognitive processing. Most people use their brain like a computer from the 1990s, trying to run every program manually. But modern productivity requires understanding which mental processes can be automated and which ones need your direct attention. When you automate routine thinking, your brain becomes available for the high-value cognitive work that creates breakthrough results. Here's the first principle of thinking automation: pattern recognition delegation. Your brain naturally looks for patterns in information, but this process uses significant cognitive energy when applied to routine or predictable data. AI excels at pattern recognition in structured information, freeing your brain to focus on patterns that require human intuition and context. Most professionals spend hours analyzing data, looking for trends, and identifying relevant information patterns. This pattern recognition work is mentally exhausting and often doesn't require human insight. I can handle the initial pattern identification and present results for human interpretation and action. Maria discovered this as a sales manager who spent mornings analyzing customer behavior data, sales trends, and market patterns. The pattern recognition work was exhausting her mentally before she even started interacting with customers or developing strategy. Maria implemented AI systems to handle initial pattern analysis and present key findings for her review. This automation preserved Maria's mental energy for the human aspects of sales management. She could focus on reading customer emotions, developing relationship strategies, and making intuitive judgments about market opportunities. Her sales performance improved dramatically because her brain was fresh for work that actually required human thinking. The second principle involves information processing automation. Your brain processes thousands of pieces of information daily, but most of this processing is routine filtering, categorizing, and organizing. I can handle information processing tasks, presenting only relevant, actionable information that requires human decision-making. Think about how much mental energy you spend reading emails, scanning reports, and processing updates. Most of this information processing doesn't require human insight. It's just cognitive busy work that exhausts your brain. I can filter, summarize, and organize information so your brain only engages with content that needs human attention. James implemented information processing automation as a consultant managing multiple client projects. He was spending hours daily reading project updates, scanning industry reports, and processing email communications. This information overload was preventing deep thinking on client problems. James used AI systems to process incoming information and present only items requiring his attention or decision-making. Routine updates were summarized automatically. Relevant industry insights were highlighted and connected to specific client needs. His mental energy shifted from information processing to strategic problem solving. The third principle is decision tree automation. Many decisions you make daily follow predictable patterns based on established criteria. These routine decisions use mental energy without requiring human judgment. AI can automate decision-making for routine choices while flagging situations that need human analysis. You probably make dozens of decisions each day that follow the same logical patterns. Which emails deserve immediate responses, how to prioritize tasks, what information to include in reports, when to schedule meetings. These decisions feel like thinking, but they're really just applying predetermined criteria repeatedly. Carol automated routine decisions as an operations manager who made hundreds of small choices daily about resource allocation, scheduling, and workflow management. Each decision felt minor, but collectively they were exhausting her cognitive capacity for strategic thinking. Carol created decision trees for routine choices and let AI systems apply them automatically. Complex or unusual situations were flagged for human review, but standard decisions were handled without her mental involvement. This preserved her cognitive energy for strategic planning and problem solving that required human judgment. The fourth principle involves memory management offloading. Your brain spends significant energy trying to remember information, track multiple contexts, and maintain awareness of various ongoing concerns. This memory management work is cognitively expensive and often unnecessary. AI can serve as external memory for information tracking and context management. Consider how much mental energy you use trying to remember where you left off on different projects, what decisions you made previously, or what information is relevant to current tasks. This memory work exhausts your brain without creating value. AI systems can maintain perfect memory of contexts and information, freeing your brain for active thinking. Kevin implemented memory offloading as a project manager juggling multiple complex initiatives. He was mentally exhausted from trying to remember project details, client preferences, team member strengths, and previous decisions across different contexts. Kevin used AI systems to maintain perfect memory of all project contexts. When switching between projects, the AI would present relevant history, current status, and key considerations. This eliminated the mental energy Kevin was spending on memory management and allowed complete focus on strategic project leadership. The fifth principle is calculation and analysis automation. Your brain struggles with complex calculations, statistical analysis, and detailed comparison tasks. These cognitive operations are mentally taxing and error-prone for humans but effortless for AI systems. Automating analytical thinking preserves mental energy for interpretation and strategy. Many professionals exhaust themselves doing mathematical analysis, comparing options, or processing numerical information. This analytical work feels important because it requires concentration, but it doesn't require human insight. AI can handle calculations and present results for human interpretation. Diana automated analytical thinking as a financial planner who spent hours calculating investment scenarios, comparing options, and analyzing performance data. The mathematical work was mentally draining and left little energy for client relationship building and strategic advice. Diana used AI systems to handle all calculations and analysis, presenting results in formats optimized for human interpretation. Her mental energy shifted from number crunching to understanding client needs and developing personalized financial strategies. Her client satisfaction increased dramatically because she could focus entirely on human aspects of financial planning. The sixth principle involves monitoring and alert automation. Your brain constantly monitors multiple information streams for important changes or urgent situations. This background monitoring uses cognitive resources even when nothing requires immediate attention. AI can handle monitoring tasks and alert you only when human intervention is needed. Think about how much mental bandwidth you use keeping track of various systems, deadlines, communications, and status indicators. This monitoring work creates background cognitive load that reduces your capacity for focused thinking. AI systems can monitor everything and interrupt you only when something actually needs your attention. Paul implemented monitoring automation as a facilities manager responsible for multiple building systems, vendor relationships, and maintenance schedules. He was mentally exhausted from trying to keep track of everything that might need attention. Paul used AI systems to monitor all facilities operations and alert him only when situations required human decision-making. Routine maintenance, normal system operations, and standard vendor communications were handled automatically. His mental energy shifted from monitoring to strategic facilities planning and problem-solving. The seventh principle is routine communication automation. Much of your daily communication follows predictable patterns and doesn't require personal attention. Status updates, routine confirmations, standard information requests, and procedural communications can be automated while preserving human interaction for meaningful exchanges. You probably spend significant time on communications that don't require human insight or relationship building. Scheduling confirmations, status updates, routine information sharing, and standard responses use mental energy without creating value. AI can handle routine communications while ensuring important conversations receive your full attention. Rachel automated routine communications as a customer service manager who was exhausted from handling repetitive inquiries and standard responses. The routine communication work was preventing focused attention on complex customer problems and team development. Rachel implemented AI systems to handle standard inquiries, routine updates, and procedural communications. Complex problems and relationship-sensitive communications were routed to her for personal attention. Her mental energy shifted from routine responses to strategic customer experience improvement and team leadership. The result of mastering automated thinking is what experts call cognitive resource optimization. Your brain stays fresh throughout the day because it's not wasted on routine mental work. Your capacity for creative thinking, strategic planning, and complex problem-solving increases dramatically. Most importantly, you feel energized by your work instead of drained by it. When your brain is engaged in thinking that only humans can do, work becomes more satisfying and meaningful. You're using your cognitive abilities for their highest value instead of wasting them on tasks that machines can handle better. Coming up, I'll reveal the communication enhancement system that makes every conversation more persuasive and every message more impactful. It's how top communicators seem to connect with anyone instantly. Chapter 8. AI Communication Mastery. Marcus struggled to connect with people despite being brilliant at his job. His emails felt robotic and failed to generate responses. His presentations were informative but boring. His conversations felt awkward and one-sided. He had valuable ideas and insights, but he couldn't communicate them in ways that resonated with others. This communication barrier was limiting his career advancement and making work relationships frustrating. Then Marcus discovered how to use AI to amplify his natural communication abilities. Within 30 days, his emails were generating enthusiastic responses. His presentations were engaging audiences and generating action. His conversations were flowing naturally and building stronger relationships. But here's what surprised Marcus most. He wasn't becoming a different person. He was learning to communicate more effectively as himself. The secret isn't about letting AI communicate for you. It's about understanding the psychology of effective communication and using AI to optimize your natural communication style. When you do this correctly, your authentic personality shines through while your message impact increases dramatically. Most people think communication is about saying the right words or having charisma. But research shows that effective communication is actually about understanding your audience, adapting your message to their needs, and creating emotional connection through shared understanding. AI can enhance each of these elements while preserving your authentic voice. Here's the first principle of AI-enhanced communication: audience psychology analysis. Every person you communicate with has different preferences, concerns, motivations, and communication styles. When you understand these psychological factors, you can adapt your approach to create better connection and understanding. AI can analyze audience characteristics and suggest communication strategies optimized for specific individuals or groups. Most people use the same communication approach with everyone, hoping their natural style will work universally. But different people respond to different communication patterns. Some prefer direct, concise messages. Others need detailed explanations and context. Some respond to logical arguments while others are motivated by emotional appeals. Sarah discovered this as a sales professional who was struggling to connect with diverse client personalities. Her natural communication style worked well with some clients but fell flat with others. Sarah started using AI to analyze client communication patterns and suggest approach modifications. For analytical clients, the AI would suggest more data-driven presentations with detailed supporting evidence. For relationship-focused clients, it would recommend more personal stories and emotional connection. For busy executives, it would optimize for brevity and clear action items. Sarah's closing rate increased by 400% because she was communicating in ways that matched each client's psychological preferences. The second principle involves message optimization for cognitive processing. Your brain processes information in specific ways, and messages that align with these processing patterns are more persuasive and memorable. AI can analyze your content and optimize it for better cognitive reception by your intended audience. Different message structures work better for different types of information and different audience goals. Some messages need logical progression from problem to solution. Others work better with emotional hooks followed by rational support. Some require immediate action items while others need gradual persuasion building. David applied message optimization as a consultant who needed to communicate complex recommendations to executive teams. His initial presentations were comprehensive but overwhelming. Executives would get lost in details and fail to take action on his recommendations. David used AI to restructure his communications for executive cognitive processing patterns. Key recommendations were presented first, followed by supporting evidence. Complex analysis was summarized into decision-relevant insights. Action items were clear and specific. Executive teams started implementing his recommendations consistently because the information was presented in formats their brains could process efficiently. The third principle is emotional resonance enhancement. Effective communication creates emotional connection between you and your audience. People make decisions based on emotions and then justify them with logic. AI can analyze emotional patterns in successful communications and help you create stronger emotional engagement while maintaining professional authenticity. This doesn't mean manipulating emotions or being fake. It means understanding how to connect your authentic message with the emotional needs and motivations of your audience. AI can suggest ways to frame your ideas that create genuine emotional resonance. Jennifer implemented emotional resonance as a team leader who struggled to motivate her staff during challenging periods. Her logical explanations of why changes were necessary weren't creating buy-in or enthusiasm. Team morale was low despite her best efforts to communicate clearly. Jennifer used AI to analyze communication styles and identify emotional themes that connected with her team. Rather than focusing only on logical reasons, she started connecting changes to team values, personal growth chances, and shared objectives. Team engagement increased dramatically because her communications addressed emotional needs as well as logical understanding. The fourth principle involves real-time communication adaptation. Effective communicators adjust their approach based on audience feedback during conversations. But most people miss subtle feedback signals or don't know how to adapt their communication style in real time. I can provide real-time suggestions for communication adjustments based on audience response patterns. During conversations, presentations, or meetings, I can analyze audience engagement indicators and suggest modifications to improve connection and understanding. This allows for dynamic communication optimization that responds to immediate feedback. Michael used real-time adaptation as a trainer delivering workshops to diverse professional groups. Some audiences were highly engaged while others seemed disconnected or confused. Michael couldn't always identify what was causing engagement differences or how to adjust his approach mid-session. Michael implemented AI systems that monitored audience engagement indicators and provided real-time suggestions for adjustment. When engagement dropped, the AI might suggest slowing down, adding more examples, or changing interaction patterns. When confusion was detected, it would recommend clarification or alternative explanations. Michael's training effectiveness improved significantly because he could adapt to each audience's specific needs during sessions. The fifth principle is communication channel optimization. Different communication channels work better for different types of messages and different audience preferences. Email, phone calls, video meetings, text messages, and in-person conversations each have optimal use cases. I can analyze your communication goals and recommend the most effective channel for each specific situation. Many communication failures happen because the message was delivered through the wrong channel. Complex information delivered via text message gets misunderstood. Urgent communications sent via email get delayed responses. Personal messages delivered through formal channels feel disconnected. Lisa optimized communication channels as a project manager coordinating diverse team members with different communication preferences. Some team members preferred detailed email updates while others wanted quick verbal check-ins. Some responded well to group meetings while others worked better with individual conversations. Lisa used AI to analyze communication effectiveness across different channels and team members. The AI would recommend optimal channels for different types of information and different team member preferences. Project coordination became much more efficient because information was flowing through channels that worked best for each situation and individual. The sixth principle involves persuasion psychology integration. Effective persuasion follows psychological principles that influence decision-making and behavior change. These principles include social proof, authority, reciprocity, consistency, scarcity, and liking. I can analyze your communication goals and suggest ways to integrate persuasion psychology while maintaining authenticity and ethical standards. This isn't about manipulation or coercion. It's about understanding how people naturally make decisions and presenting your ideas in ways that align with healthy decision-making processes. When your communication respects psychological principles, people feel more comfortable and confident about accepting your ideas. Robert applied persuasion psychology as a nonprofit fundraiser who struggled to motivate donations despite representing worthy causes. His communications were informative and heartfelt but weren't generating the response levels his organization needed to achieve its mission. Robert used AI to integrate persuasion psychology principles into his communications. Social proof showed how others were supporting the cause. Authority established credibility and expertise. Reciprocity offered value before requesting donations. Scarcity highlighted time-sensitive opportunities. These psychological elements increased donation responses by 300% while maintaining authentic connection to the cause. The seventh principle is communication impact measurement. Most people send communications without systematically tracking what works and what doesn't. They miss opportunities to improve their communication effectiveness over time. AI can track communication outcomes and identify patterns that lead to better results. By analyzing which communication approaches generate desired responses, you can continuously improve your communication skills. AI can identify your most effective message structures, optimal timing patterns, successful persuasion techniques, and preferred communication channels. Amanda implemented impact measurement as a business development professional who sent numerous proposals and follow-up communications. She wasn't sure which approaches were most effective or how to improve her response rates systematically. Amanda used AI to track communication outcomes and identify successful patterns. She learned which proposal structures generated meetings, what follow-up timing produced responses, and which communication styles resonated with different client types. Her business development success rate doubled because she was using data-driven insights to continuously improve her communication effectiveness. The result of mastering AI communication enhancement is what experts call authentic influence. You maintain your genuine personality while dramatically increasing your ability to connect with others, persuade effectively, and create positive relationships. Your communications feel natural and authentic while being optimized for maximum impact. Most importantly, you enjoy communicating more because you're getting better results with less effort. When your messages consistently generate positive responses and your conversations create genuine connection, communication becomes energizing instead of draining. Coming up, I'll show you the habit automation system that makes positive behaviors effortless while eliminating bad habits permanently. It's how behavioral change finally becomes sustainable and automatic. Chapter 9. Habit Automation Psychology. Angela was trapped in a cycle of good intentions and failed follow-through. She would start new productive habits with enthusiasm, maintain them for a few days or weeks, then gradually slip back into old patterns. Exercise routines, healthy eating, organized workflows, learning goals, everything would begin well and then fade away. She felt like she lacked willpower or discipline, but the real problem was that she was fighting against human psychology instead of working with it. Then Angela discovered how to use AI systems to automate habit formation and elimination. Within 60 days, positive behaviors that used to require constant effort became completely automatic. Negative habits that had persisted for years simply disappeared. But here's what amazed Angela most. She wasn't using willpower or forcing herself to change. The new behaviors felt natural and effortless because they were supported by systems that worked with her brain instead of against it. The secret isn't about having more discipline or motivation. It's about understanding the psychology of habit formation and using AI to create environmental conditions that make positive behaviors inevitable while making negative behaviors nearly impossible. When you design your environment correctly, good habits happen automatically. Most people think habits are about personal character or willpower. But research shows that habits are primarily shaped by environmental cues, reward systems, and repetition patterns. When you control these factors systematically, you can engineer behavior change that feels effortless and sustainable. Here's the first principle of AI-assisted habit automation: environmental cue management. Your brain responds to environmental triggers that prompt specific behaviors. Most habits are triggered by contextual cues rather than conscious decisions. AI can monitor your environment and optimize cues to trigger positive behaviors while eliminating cues that prompt negative behaviors. Every habit follows a pattern of cue, routine, and reward. The cue triggers the behavior, the routine is the behavior itself, and the reward reinforces the pattern. When you control the cues in your environment, you can engineer which behaviors get triggered automatically. Carlos discovered this while trying to establish a consistent exercise routine. He would set ambitious workout goals but struggle with consistency because exercise felt like a constant battle against inertia. Carlos used AI systems to optimize environmental cues for exercise habits. The AI would prepare workout clothes the night before, schedule exercise during optimal energy times, play motivating music automatically, and remove barriers that made exercise feel difficult. Exercise became triggered by environmental cues rather than willpower decisions. Carlos maintained consistent workouts for months without feeling like he was forcing himself to exercise. The second principle involves reward system optimization. Your brain reinforces behaviors that provide satisfying rewards and eliminates behaviors that don't feel rewarding. Many positive habits fail because the rewards are delayed or abstract. AI can create immediate reward systems that reinforce positive behaviors while they're being established. Traditional habit advice tells you to rely on long-term motivation, but your brain needs immediate satisfaction to reinforce new behaviors. AI can provide immediate feedback, progress tracking, and micro-rewards that make positive habits feel satisfying from the beginning. Diana applied reward optimization while establishing better work organization habits. She wanted to maintain clean digital files, organized project management, and systematic documentation. But these habits felt tedious and unrewarding, so she would slip back into disorganized patterns. Diana used AI systems to create immediate rewards for organization behaviors. The AI would highlight progress, celebrate completed organization tasks, and show visual improvements in system efficiency. Organization habits became satisfying instead of tedious because Diana could see immediate benefits and feel rewarded for positive behaviors. The third principle is friction elimination for positive habits. Most positive habits fail because they require too much effort or encounter too many barriers. AI can eliminate friction that makes positive behaviors difficult while adding friction that makes negative behaviors less convenient. Your brain naturally chooses the path of least resistance. When positive behaviors are easy and convenient, they happen automatically. When negative behaviors require extra effort, they become less likely to occur. AI can manage the friction levels around different behaviors to engineer better choices. Edward used friction management to improve his reading and learning habits while reducing social media consumption. Reading felt effortful while social media was instantly accessible and engaging. Edward couldn't rely on willpower alone to make better choices consistently. Edward implemented AI systems that eliminated friction around reading by preparing relevant books, scheduling reading time, and creating comfortable reading environments automatically. The same systems added friction to social media by requiring deliberate activation, limiting access during productive hours, and highlighting time spent on unproductive activities. Reading became the easier choice while social media required more intentional decision-making. The fourth principle involves habit stacking integration. New habits are more likely to stick when they're connected to existing strong habits rather than trying to establish completely independent routines. AI can identify optimal habit stacking opportunities and manage the integration of new behaviors with established patterns. Your brain already has automatic routines that happen consistently. When you attach new behaviors to these existing habits, the established habit triggers the new behavior automatically. AI can analyze your current patterns and identify the best integration points for new habits. Maria established better nutrition habits by stacking them with her existing morning coffee routine. Instead of trying to create completely new meal planning habits, she used AI to integrate nutrition decisions with her established morning routine. The AI would prepare healthy breakfast options alongside her coffee preparation, suggest nutrition improvements based on her coffee timing, and connect meal planning to her existing morning routine. New nutrition habits became automatic because they were integrated with behaviors that were already happening consistently. The fifth principle is progress tracking and pattern recognition. Most habit change fails because people don't track progress systematically or recognize patterns that predict success or failure. AI can monitor habit performance continuously and identify factors that support or undermine behavior change. When you understand which conditions lead to habit success and which conditions predict failure, you can optimize your environment and schedule to support positive behaviors. AI can recognize these patterns automatically and make proactive adjustments. James used pattern recognition to establish consistent creative writing habits. Some days he would write productively, while other days he would struggle with motivation and output. James couldn't identify what made the difference between good writing days and poor writing days. James implemented AI tracking that monitored writing performance along with various environmental and personal factors. The AI identified patterns showing that writing productivity was highest after morning exercise, during specific time windows, and when certain environmental conditions were present. James could then optimize his schedule and environment to create conditions that supported consistent creative output. The sixth principle involves social reinforcement automation. Habits are reinforced by social support and accountability, but most people don't have systematic social support for behavior change. AI can create social reinforcement systems that provide accountability and encouragement for positive habits. Your brain responds strongly to social feedback and peer influence. When positive behaviors receive social recognition and support, they become more likely to continue. AI can facilitate social connections around habit change without requiring constant human management. Rachel established better professional development habits using AI-facilitated social reinforcement. She wanted to maintain consistent learning and skill development but struggled with motivation when working alone. Rachel used AI systems to connect with others pursuing similar professional development goals. The AI would share progress updates, facilitate mutual accountability, and celebrate achievements within her professional network. Professional development became socially rewarding instead of isolated, making consistency much easier to maintain. The seventh principle is habit evolution and adaptation. Effective habit systems evolve over time as your circumstances, goals, and preferences change. Static habit routines often fail when life conditions change. AI can continuously adapt habit systems to maintain effectiveness despite changing circumstances. Your optimal habits today might not be optimal 6 months from now. Job changes, life events, seasonal variations, and personal growth all affect which habits work best. AI can monitor habit effectiveness and suggest adaptations that maintain positive behaviors despite changing conditions. Kevin maintained consistent fitness habits despite major life changes including job transitions, moving to different cities, and changing family circumstances. Traditional rigid fitness routines would fail whenever his circumstances changed significantly. Kevin used AI systems that adapted fitness habits to changing conditions. When work schedules changed, the AI would adjust workout timing. When moving to new locations, it would identify new fitness resources and routines. When family obligations increased, it would modify fitness activities to fit new time constraints. Fitness habits remained consistent because they evolved with Kevin's changing life circumstances. The result of mastering habit automation psychology is what researchers call effortless excellence. Positive behaviors happen automatically without requiring willpower or constant decision-making. Negative habits disappear naturally because the environmental conditions that supported them no longer exist. Most importantly, behavior change becomes sustainable and enjoyable instead of feeling like constant struggle. When your environment supports the behaviors you want and your habits align with your psychology, positive change feels natural and effortless. Coming up in our final chapter, I'll reveal the complete integration system that transforms you into an enhanced human. It's the master framework that brings everything together into one unified productivity system. Chapter 10. The Enhanced Human Transformation. Richard thought he had reached his productivity ceiling. He was already using advanced systems, working efficiently, and achieving good results. But deep down, he felt like he was still operating far below his true potential. He could see glimpses of what might be possible, but he couldn't sustain peak performance consistently. There seemed to be invisible barriers preventing him from reaching the next level of capability. Then Richard discovered how to integrate all the AI productivity psychology principles into one unified system. Within 90 days, he had transformed into what he calls an enhanced human. His cognitive capacity, creative output, decision-making speed, and overall effectiveness had increased so dramatically that colleagues began asking what had changed. But here's what Richard found most remarkable. The transformation didn't feel forced or artificial. It felt like he was finally operating at his natural capacity. This final integration is where all the previous principles come together to create something greater than the sum of their parts. When you successfully combine AI psychology secrets, partnership blueprints, mental load distribution, decision-making enhancement, creativity amplification, time psychology, automated thinking, communication mastery, and habit automation, you become a fundamentally different type of performer. The enhanced human isn't about becoming superhuman or losing your humanity. It's about removing the artificial limitations that prevent you from accessing your full cognitive and creative potential. When AI systems handle routine mental work, optimize your environment, and amplify your natural abilities, you can operate at levels that previously seemed impossible. Here's the first principle of enhanced human integration: systems orchestration. Instead of using AI tools randomly or independently, you create orchestrated systems where each component enhances the others. Your decision-making system informs your creativity system. Your time management system coordinates with your habit automation. Your communication enhancement works with your mental load distribution. Most people use productivity tools in isolation without understanding how they can work together synergistically. But when you orchestrate multiple AI-enhanced systems, you create compound benefits that multiply your overall effectiveness exponentially. Alexandra discovered systems orchestration as a business consultant who had been using various AI tools independently. Each tool provided benefits, but she wasn't experiencing the transformational results she expected. When Alexandra learned to orchestrate her systems, everything changed. Her morning AI briefing would analyze her energy patterns and automatically adjust her daily schedule for optimal cognitive load distribution. Her decision-making system would coordinate with her creativity system to ensure important choices were made during peak analytical thinking periods. Her communication system would integrate with her habit automation to reinforce positive relationship-building behaviors. The orchestrated approach produced results that far exceeded the sum of individual tool benefits. The second principle involves cognitive capacity multiplication. When AI systems handle routine thinking tasks, eliminate decision fatigue, optimize mental load distribution, and create ideal conditions for flow states, your available cognitive capacity increases dramatically. But the real transformation happens when you learn to use this expanded capacity strategically. Enhanced humans don't just work faster or handle more tasks. They engage in fundamentally different types of thinking that weren't possible when their cognitive resources were consumed by routine mental work. Strategic thinking, creative problem-solving, and innovative analysis become their primary activities instead of occasional luxuries. Benjamin experienced cognitive capacity multiplication as a financial advisor who had been struggling to provide truly strategic advice while managing routine client services. When AI systems began handling data analysis, routine communications, and administrative tasks, Benjamin discovered he had mental capacity for much deeper client work. He could spend entire sessions focused on understanding client psychology, developing innovative financial strategies, and creating personalized approaches that addressed complex life goals. His clients began referring to him as their most valuable advisor because he was operating at a level of strategic thinking that routine task management had previously prevented. The third principle is adaptive intelligence development. Enhanced humans don't just use AI tools. They develop metacognitive skills that allow them to design and optimize human-AI collaborations for any situation. They become skilled at identifying which tasks should be automated, which require human insight, and how to create optimal interfaces between human and artificial intelligence. This adaptive intelligence means you can quickly optimize productivity systems for new challenges, changing circumstances, or evolving goals. You're not dependent on specific tools or rigid systems. You understand the underlying principles that allow you to create effective human-AI partnerships in any context. Catherine developed adaptive intelligence as a project manager who worked with diverse teams, clients, and project types. Instead of trying to use the same productivity system for every situation, she learned to design custom human-AI collaborations optimized for specific project requirements. For creative projects, she would emphasize AI systems that amplified brainstorming and ideation while preserving human creative control. For analytical projects, she would focus on AI data processing and pattern recognition while maintaining human interpretation and strategy development. For relationship-intensive projects, she would use AI for information management while prioritizing human interaction and communication. Catherine became known for her ability to optimize team performance regardless of project complexity or requirements. The fourth principle involves flow state architecture. Enhanced humans design their entire work environment and schedule to maximize time spent in flow states where peak performance feels effortless. AI systems create and maintain optimal conditions for sustained high-level thinking while eliminating interruptions and distractions. Traditional productivity focuses on managing tasks and time. Enhanced human productivity focuses on creating psychological and environmental conditions that enable sustained peak performance. When you can maintain flow states for hours at a time, your output quality and quantity increase exponentially. Daniel achieved flow state architecture as a software developer who struggled with focus and consistency despite having strong technical skills. When Daniel optimized his environment for sustained flow states, his programming productivity increased by 400%, while his job satisfaction improved dramatically. AI systems would prepare optimal development environments, eliminate interruptions, provide real-time feedback, and maintain perfect information organization. Daniel could enter flow states quickly and maintain them for extended periods. His code quality improved significantly because he was consistently working at peak cognitive performance levels. The fifth principle is value creation amplification. Enhanced humans focus their expanded cognitive capacity on activities that create maximum value rather than just completing more tasks. They become strategic about how they use their enhanced capabilities to achieve breakthrough results rather than incremental improvements. When routine work is automated and cognitive capacity is multiplied, the opportunity for high-impact value creation increases dramatically. Enhanced humans learn to identify and focus on the 20% of activities that produce 80% of their valuable outcomes. Emily applied value creation amplification as a marketing director who realized that most of her time was spent on routine campaign management rather than strategic brand development. When AI systems began handling campaign execution and performance tracking, Emily could focus entirely on strategic positioning and innovative marketing approaches. Her marketing campaigns became much more effective because she was spending time on strategy and creativity rather than execution and monitoring. Emily's department began producing breakthrough marketing results that established her company as an industry leader. Her expanded cognitive capacity was directed toward activities that created exponential business value. The sixth principle involves continuous optimization loops. Enhanced humans create systems that continuously improve their human-AI collaborations based on results and changing conditions. They don't just implement productivity systems. They create self-improving systems that become more effective over time. This continuous optimization means your productivity capabilities continue growing rather than plateauing. As AI technology improves and your skills develop, your overall capabilities increase exponentially rather than linearly. Frank implemented continuous optimization as an operations manager who wanted sustainable productivity improvements rather than temporary gains. Instead of static systems, Frank created feedback loops that continuously refined his human-AI collaborations based on performance data. AI systems would track the effectiveness of different productivity approaches and suggest optimizations based on results. Frank's productivity capabilities improved continuously over months and years rather than reaching a fixed level. His operations management became increasingly sophisticated and effective as his systems evolved and improved. The seventh principle is impact multiplication. Enhanced humans use their amplified capabilities not just for personal productivity but for creating positive impact that extends far beyond their individual work. They become force multipliers who elevate the performance of teams, organizations, and communities. When you operate at enhanced human levels, your influence and impact naturally expand. Your improved decision-making, communication, creativity, and strategic thinking create value that benefits everyone around you. You become a catalyst for positive change rather than just a high performer. Grace achieved impact multiplication as a nonprofit leader who used enhanced human capabilities to transform her organization's effectiveness. Her improved strategic thinking led to more impactful programs. Her enhanced communication created stronger donor relationships. Her optimized decision-making accelerated organizational growth. Grace's personal transformation multiplied into organizational transformation that increased the nonprofit's positive impact by 300%. Her enhanced human capabilities created value that extended far beyond her individual productivity to benefit the communities her organization served. The result of complete enhanced human integration is what researchers call sustainable peak performance. You operate consistently at levels that most people only achieve occasionally during their best days. Your cognitive capacity, creative output, decision-making quality, and overall effectiveness remain high throughout extended periods without burnout or performance degradation. Most importantly, you feel energized and fulfilled by your work because you're operating at your true capacity rather than being limited by routine tasks and inefficient systems. The enhanced human transformation isn't about working harder. It's about removing barriers that prevent you from accessing your full potential. You've now learned the complete system for becoming an enhanced human through AI productivity psychology. The principles in these 10 chapters provide everything you need to multiply your cognitive capacity, amplify your creative abilities, optimize your decision-making, and create sustainable peak performance. Your transformation begins with implementing these principles systematically and consistently. Start with the areas where you feel the greatest friction or limitation. Build your enhanced human capabilities gradually and sustainably. Most importantly, remember that this transformation is about becoming more fully yourself, not becoming someone different. The enhanced human future is not about humans being replaced by artificial intelligence. It's about humans and AI working together to unlock potential that neither could achieve alone. Your journey toward enhanced human capabilities starts now.